The training gym on Space Base 47 was full of noise and energy. Cadets from different planets were training: humans, robots, reptilian warriors, and alien species with glowing eyes and sharp claws. Among them was Jason, a young human soldier with sharp reflexes and a strong will. He had just finished a round of combat training, sweating but smiling. Not bad for a human. Someone said behind him. He turned, surprised to see a tall, cat-like alien female, standing with arms crossed. Her golden eyes sparkled with confidence. She was a Valari, fast, powerful, and known for their elite warriors. "You're fast," she said, stepping closer. "But I've seen faster." Jason raised an eyebrow. "Want to test that?" Some cadets nearby heard and stopped what they were doing. A Valari challenging a human was rare. Valari were strong and proud, and they only fought those they respected. "I'm Ryla, by the way," she said, taking off her jacket and tossing it aside. Her muscles were lean but powerful, her tail moving behind her like a whip. Jason nodded, trying not to look nervous. "Jason." They stepped into the sparring circle. No weapons, just skill. The bell rang. Jason moved first, fast and smart. He had trained with androids and outsmarted 2 reptilian fighters last week. He aimed a quick punch, but Ryla dodged it with ease. Before he could blink, she spun, grabbed his arm, and flipped him over. He hit the mat with a loud thud. The air knocked out of him, but before he could recover, she was already on top of him, her knee pressed into his chest, her face close to his. "I win," she whispered, voice calm but playful. "Now what do I get?" Everyone around them froze. Some laughed softly, others just stared. Jason tried to push her off, but she didn't move. He looked into her eyes. There was no anger there, just curiosity. And something deeper. "This isn't about winning," he said. "It's about testing me, isn't it?" Rayla smiled slowly. "Maybe," she said. "You're different, human." She stood up and offered her hand. Jason took it and got up, still catching his breath. He felt embarrassed, but also intrigued. Why did she choose him? Why did she hold back, or did she? Later that night, Jason sat alone in the dining hall, replaying the fight in his head. He noticed Ryla walk in, tray in hand. She didn't sit with her own kind. She walked straight to his table. "Mind if I sit?" she asked. Jason nodded. "Sure." For a moment, they ate in silence. Then she leaned forward. "You fought well," she said. "Most don't even land a punch." "I didn't either," Jason said, half smiling. She nodded. "Still, you moved without fear." Jason tilted his head. Was this some kind of test? Rayla didn't answer right away. Instead, she looked around the room, at the walls, at the cameras, at the other cadets. "There are many kinds of war," she said finally. "Some are fought with weapons, some with choices." Jason narrowed his eyes. "So what kind is this?" She looked at him, serious now. "You'll find out." And with that, she stood and left, her tail swaying behind her like a shadow. Jason stared at his tray, no longer hungry. He knew something strange was happening. She was watching him, testing him, but for what? And why did he feel like this was just the beginning? That night, as he lay in his bunk, he couldn't sleep. He kept hearing her voice in his head. "Now what do I get?" He didn't know yet, but he had a feeling it wouldn't be simple, or safe or easy, but deep inside, part of him wanted to know, and part of him wanted to win next time. Jason woke up before the alarm. His body was rested, but his mind wasn't. He kept hearing the same voice in his dreams. "Now what do I get?" The words weren't just teasing. They felt like a riddle, like a door that had opened, and something was waiting on the other side. He sat up in his bunk, glanced around the dark dorm room. Everything looked normal, but something felt off. At breakfast, the cafeteria was louder than usual. Alien cadets whispered in low voices. Some looked at him, then looked away. He caught a glimpse of Ryla across the hall, talking to an instructor. She didn't even glance at him. Strange, considering she had pinned him to the floor just yesterday. Later, during training drills, Jason noticed something weird. The tasks were different, subtle but harder. His drone target moved faster than others. His code panel had extra firewalls. Was it a glitch? Or was someone changing his settings on purpose? "Hey," he asked a fellow cadet, "is your sim acting weird today?" The cadet shrugged. "Nah, runs normal." Jason nodded slowly, saying nothing more. But now he was sure someone was testing him. That evening, after hours, he went to the gym again. It was empty except for one figure, Rayla. She was standing in the center of the room, eyes closed, breathing steady, training alone. But Jason could feel it. This wasn't just training. It was meditation, focus, discipline, and maybe waiting. He stepped forward. "You've been busy," he said. Rayla opened one eye. "So have you." Jason crossed his arms. "You adjusted my training modules, didn't you?" She didn't answer, but her smile gave him enough. "I'm not just a soldier," Jason said. "Am I?" Rayla walked toward him slowly, tail flicking behind her. "You're not just a human either," she said. "That's what I'm finding out." Jason narrowed his eyes. "What are you looking for?" She tilted her head. "Instinct," she said. "Courage, pain, failure, growth." Then after a pause, "Truth." Jason shook his head. "You still haven't told me what this is really about." "You're not ready," she replied. "But you're getting close." And before he could ask more, she turned and left the room. No more answers that night. The next morning, Jason broke a rule. He hacked into the training logs using a backdoor passcode from a friend in tech support. He needed to know what was going on. He pulled up logs from the past 48 hours. Lines of data scrolled across the screen, sparring results, biometric scans, behavior notes. And then he saw it. Subject 42 HFY candidate, human, Jason Vell, his name. Next to it, observation, Villari interest level, high response time, 0.37. Faster than average, reflexes enhanced under pressure. Decision-making aggressive but protective. Jason leaned back, shocked. They weren't just watching him. They were scoring him like a lab test. And the worst part? HFY protocol. Candidate evaluation in progress. Phase 2 begins. "What the hell is HFY?" he whispered. Humanity? Something? Fury? Why did it feel like he was inside a secret game and didn't know the rules? Suddenly, the screen blinked. A new message appeared. Access denied, session logged. Expect contact. Jason pulled the plug. Heart racing. He had been caught. That night, he walked through the corridors of Base 47. Everything felt different. Doors closing behind him, shadows that felt too quiet, sensors tracking his steps. Then he saw her again, Rayla, standing by the observation deck, looking out at the stars. "You broke in," she said without turning. Jason didn't lie. "Yeah, you're brave," she said. "Or foolish. Both," he said, walking closer. "Tell me what's happening." She turned, and her eyes weren't playful anymore. They were glowing faintly. "I told you," she said softly. "There are many kinds of war, and this is one of them?" He asked. She nodded. "One that decides if humans truly belong." Jason stepped back slightly, confused. "Belong where?" She didn't answer. Instead, she walked away into the shadows, and once again, her voice echoed in his mind. "Now what do I get?" The message wouldn't stop playing in his head. Not her words, the system message. Session logged. Expect contact. Jason spent the next day pretending everything was normal. He trained, attended tech briefings, even laughed during lunch, but inside he was wired. Alert, ready. Nothing happened until the lights in his dorm flickered. Once, twice, then a short power blink. He got the signal. Someone was calling him. Not through orders, but through shadows. Jason waited 10 minutes, then slipped out of his room. He walked past the sleeping halls, across a maintenance corridor. Finally, he reached the data core. The door was already open. Someone was expecting him. Inside stood an old engineer. Human, hunched and silent. Name's Yorin. The man said, "I've been watching you." Jason stared, confused. "Why?" "Because they are," Yorin replied. pointing to the ceiling. And they've done it before. What do you mean? Yoren tapped a console and brought up a hidden data vault. He entered an old clearance code. Jason watched as hundreds of files unlocked. Project HFY Humanity Frontier Yield Human Fracture Year. Too many names, but the same initials. Jason scrolled through the files. Some were blurry recordings, black and white videos of ancient soldiers lifting machines, saving aliens, winning unwinnable battles. Other clips showed humans making impossible decisions, choosing survival over surrender. The files were old, some dated before Earth had faster-than-light travel. These, Yoren said, are your ancestors. Jason leaned in, stunned. One clip showed a single human holding off 3 alien raiders with only a broken weapon. Another showed a woman carrying a wounded alien child through a fire zone. What is this? Jason asked. Yoren smiled faintly. The Valari call it instinct, but we call it the echo. Jason turned to him. Echo? Yeah, Yoren said. Sometimes it wakes up in someone like you. Jason looked back at the files. One clip was labeled Valari Observation, Year 2129. Subject, Cal Vel. He froze. That was his last name. He opened the clip. An old soldier stood in the middle of a burning outpost. Behind him was a Valari child, crying. Cal stood still as 2 Valari warriors circled him. Then he dropped his weapon and stepped forward. Arms raised. If you want to kill someone, Cal said, kill me, not the child. They didn't. Instead, they bowed. Jason stepped back, breath shallow. Was he my ancestor? Most likely, Yoren said. The Valari don't forget. Jason swallowed hard. He wasn't just being tested. He was being remembered, compared, measured against a ghost. Suddenly, the screen went dark. A symbol appeared. A glowing circle with 3 lines. Yoren whispered. They know you're here. Jason turned. What do I do? Yoren handed him a chip, small and warm. Upload this to your neural band, he said. It'll let you see what they don't want you to. Jason took it and ran. No alarms. But he felt watched. Every hallway, every door, like someone was following from behind a wall. He reached his bunk and inserted the chip into his neural port. A small shock ran through his spine. Then his vision changed. Words appeared in the air, glowing. Subject, Jason Vel Echo Level, 6.2 Phase 3 initiated. What's Echo Level? Jason muttered. Another message answered. Instinct memory reactivation, pending, and then he saw it, a brief flash, not his memory. A desert battlefield, screams, sand, and fire. He stood in the center, older, wounded, holding something in his hand, a metal sigil marked with the Valari symbol. Then it vanished. Jason gasped. Falling to his knees, his head hurt, heart pounding. He wasn't dreaming. He was seeing memories that weren't his. A knock on the door. Jason reached for his blade, but stopped when he saw who it was. Rila. She stepped inside, quiet, calm. You saw something, she said. Didn't you? Jason nodded. It felt real. It was, she said, kneeling beside him. Our kind leaves echoes in those who pass the trials. Jason looked at her. What happens now? She didn't smile this time. Her voice was serious, deep. Now, she said, you decide if you want to see the truth or hide from it. Jason closed his eyes. Something inside him was rising. Not fear, something older. Asterisk. He was standing in a desert, blood on his hands, fire in the sky. Screams echoed in the wind. Beside him, Rayla was on her knees, wounded, her armor torn. Jason looked down. His boots were not the ones he wore yesterday. His hands were older. He was holding a weapon, one he didn't recognize. A voice called from the smoke. Commander Vel, fall back. Jason turned, heart racing. He didn't know the voice. He didn't know the battle. But somehow, it all felt real. Too real. Then the world blinked, like a screen being turned off. Jason gasped as he woke up inside a small pod, breathing heavy. Covered in sweat, he looked around, glass walls, glowing symbols, and a simulation harness attached to his neck. "Where am I?" he muttered. The pod door opened with a soft hiss. Ryla stood outside, wearing full combat gear. She didn't. "Smile. This is Phase 3, she said. "The trial of trust." Jason sat up, confused and dizzy. "That wasn't a dream, was it?" "No," she said. "That was your first glimpse." She handed him a suit and a neural earpiece. "Suit up," she said. "We don't have much time." They stepped out into a dark metallic hallway. The simulation felt too real. The air was thick. The lights flickered, and distant explosions shook the floor. "This is a war sim?" Jason asked. Ryla nodded. "But it's more than that." As they moved forward, the hallway split into two paths. Jason stopped. "Which way?" "You choose," she said, stepping back. He hesitated, then picked the left corridor. The path led them to a chamber filled with drones, fast, armed, and aggressive. They fought side by side, back to back. Jason's moves were sharper than ever. Every hit felt like muscle memory, like something inside him was guiding his hands. Ryla looked at him between fights. "You're starting to remember," she said. "I don't know if it's me or someone else." Jason replied, catching his breath. They moved through more zones, climbing, hiding, hacking terminals, saving simulated civilians, until they reached the final chamber. In the center stood a wounded Velari commander. Behind him, an escape pod counting down. Jason scanned the room. "What's the objective?" Ryla looked down. "Only one of us can leave." Jason blinked. "What?" "If you help me escape," she said, "you fail the trial. If you take the pod, you pass. But I stay behind." Jason stared at her. "What kind of test is this?" Rayla's voice softened. "A true one." The countdown ticked. 20 seconds, 15. Jason stepped toward the pod, then stopped. He turned to her. "This is supposed to test if I'll leave you behind?" Ryla nodded slowly. Jason clenched his jaw. "Then I'd rather fail." He pulled her arm over his shoulder, dragging her toward the pod. The system screamed. "Failure pod overweight. Sequence denied." The room exploded into white light. Jason opened his eyes, back inside the simulation pod. Alarms were silent now. He sat up, confused, sweating, but awake. Across the room, Ryla was already watching him. "You chose to lose," she said. "I chose not to leave you." Jason answered. There was silence, then a small smile on her lips. "Good," she said. "Because that's the answer we were looking for." Jason stood slowly. "I don't get it. This trial was about betrayal, wasn't it?" Ryla walked closer, her voice calm. "No," she said. "It was about what comes after betrayal. It was about who you choose to be when no one's watching." Jason looked at her, something shifting in his chest. Not love, not yet, but something powerful, something ancient, a bond, a spark. She reached up and touched his shoulder. "For us, trust is everything," she whispered. "And now?" "I trust you," Jason swallowed, unsure what to say. "Come," she said, walking toward the door. "There's more to show you." As they left the room, the lights behind them flickered again. But this time, they flickered green. Someone or something had approved his choice. Jason stood in a room that wasn't on any map. No windows, no doors, only walls made of glowing stone. Symbols danced across the floor, moving, shifting, alive. He was barefoot, dressed in simple cloth. Ryla stood across from him, silent and calm. "This place." Jason whispered, "Where are we?" Rayla's voice was low, almost like a song. "This is the Chamber of Memory," she said. "Built before even the Velari had ships." Jason looked around, the room humming softly. "I've never seen tech like this," he said. "It's not tech," Ryla replied. "It's alive." She stepped forward and held out a small crystal. "This is a bondstone," she said. "It reads memory, not just yours, but your bloodlines." Jason hesitated. "My bloodline?" "Yes," she said. "We Velari don't choose warriors, we choose echoes." Jason took the crystal in his hand. It was warm, almost pulsing. The symbols on the floor reacted instantly, swirling in new patterns. Suddenly, his head filled with voices. Not loud, just whispers, names, places, battles, choices, some familiar, some completely alien. A vision hit him, fast, clear. A woman with his eyes, kneeling before a Valari elder. A promise being made. "I will guard them," she had said, "even if they never know my name." Jason stumbled backward, breath stolen. "That was my ancestor," he said, shaking. "Wasn't it?" Rayla nodded. "One of many who passed the trial." Jason sat on the floor, trying to understand. "All this time, I thought I was just a soldier," he said. "But I'm part of something older." "Yes," Rayla said gently, sitting beside him. "We Valari once stood alone," she continued. "But we began to fall. Our numbers weakened. Our bonds broke." Jason looked up at her. "And then you found humans. Not just humans," she said. "Echo bearers. People like you." Jason stared at the stone still glowing in his palm. "So what happens now?" Rayla looked at him seriously. "Now comes the bond trial," she said. "It's not about strength. It's about connection." Jason raised an eyebrow. "Like becoming partners?" Rayla nodded. "Mind to mind, soul to soul." Jason felt a strange mix of awe and fear. "What if I fail?" "You don't die," Rayla said. "But part of you never wakes up again." He looked at her. "You already did this?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, but the bond is incomplete until both sides accept it." Jason stood up. "Then let's do it," he said, voice firm. The lights in the chamber dimmed. The bondstone floated between them, pulsing like a heartbeat. Rayla placed her hand above it, and Jason did the same. A surge of warmth flowed through his body. His mind opened, and suddenly, he was not alone. He saw flashes, Rayla as a child, watching the stars, Rayla training, bruised and breathless. Never quitting, Rayla crying alone, after losing a partner long ago. He felt her fears, her hopes, her doubts. And she felt his every wound, every joke, every secret he never told anyone. Then the light burst, and everything went still. They both stepped back, eyes wide, breathing hard. "It's done," Rayla whispered, her voice trembling slightly. Jason nodded, still in shock. "I felt everything." "So did I," she said, and for the first time she looked fragile. Jason reached out and gently touched her hand. "I'm with you now," he said, her voice cracked. "Just a little, then we stand together." But before they could say more, the chamber floor lit up red. A sharp alarm rang from deep within the walls. Rayla turned sharply. "They know," she said. "Someone's trying to stop this." Jason stood tall. "Let them try," he said. "I know who I am now." The message came at midnight. No sound, no knock. Just a blinking red light on Jason's personal band. Command level alert. Report to Section 9 alone. Jason stared at it. His gut told him something was wrong, but orders were orders. He slipped into his uniform, glanced once at the wall where his bondstone sat glowing softly. He didn't wake Rayla. The hall to Section 9 was cold, silent. Even the lights flickered differently, like the station itself knew what was coming. The door opened with a hiss. Inside stood Commander Halden, the same man who'd once called Jason the pride of Earth's next generation. But his face now looked like stone. "Sit," Halden said. Jason did, silent, alert. Halden placed a file on the table. "Do you know what this is?" he asked. Jason scanned the file name, Project Velbond. His chest tightened. "That's classified," Jason said. Halden leaned forward, voice sharp. "You think we didn't know about the Valari bond trial?" Jason stayed still. He said nothing. "We knew," Halden continued. "We allowed it, monitored it. But now you've gone too far." Jason frowned. "I didn't break protocol." "No," Halden said. "But you broke loyalty." Jason stood, anger rising. "I didn't betray anyone," he said. "I followed the mission." Halden's voice dropped, cold and hard. The mission was never to bond. Jason's blood ran cold. He suddenly understood. You used me, he said. You wanted to test their rituals, to spy from the inside. Halden didn't deny. We needed intel, he said, and you were the perfect asset. Jason clenched his fists. And what now? You want me to break the bond? Halden opened a small case on the table. Inside, a black chip. Upload this to your neural. Banned, he said. It'll override the bond. Jason stared at it like poison. You want me to erase her? He said quietly, don't you? Halden's voice was flat. She's not human, Jason stepped back. She's more loyal to me than you ever were. A new voice spoke from behind, one Jason didn't expect. He won't do it. Ryla, she had followed him, stood in the doorway, calm but dangerous. Halden reached for his sidearm, but Jason moved faster. He slapped the weapon aside and pinned the commander to the wall. I'm done following liars, Jason said. Halden sneered. You'll regret this. No, Jason said, stepping back. I'm already free. Jason turned to Rayla. We need to leave, he said. She nodded, but her eyes were on Halden. You tried to use him like a tool. She said, you don't deserve his loyalty. They ran, alarms flashing behind them. Jason grabbed a data drive before leaving. One marked HFY, Phase 0. He didn't know what it was, but it felt important. They made it to the launch bay just as security forces arrived. Too many to fight, but one shuttle door was open. They sprinted in, locked the door, and blasted. Out of the station, shots fired after them, but missed. Inside the ship, Jason dropped into a chair, breathing hard. Rayla sat beside him. You were willing to fight your own commander. She said, I didn't betray Earth, Jason said. They betrayed me first. She reached over, touched his hand gently. You chose us, she said. Jason looked out the window at the stars rushing past. I chose the truth, he said, and somewhere deep in the ship, the data drive blinked once, awaiting a new key, waiting to unlock secrets no one was meant to see. Silence filled the ship, not the silence of peace, the kind before something begins. Jason stood alone in the observation deck, watching a planet he had never seen before. It glowed blue and green, rings of crystal dust swirling around it. The Valari homeworld. He had dreamed of this place without knowing it. Now he was here, not as a visitor, but as something else. A message replayed in his ear. If you enter orbit, you will be met, not welcomed. He shut it off there. Were no welcome signs for fugitives. No handshakes for those who broke orders to follow their soul. Behind him, Rayla walked in. Her face calm, but her eyes held weight. They know we're coming, she said. Jason nodded. They always did. She stood beside him, her voice soft. The council may try to stop us. Jason looked at her. Then we'll make them listen. As they entered Valari airspace, a fleet rose from the clouds. Elegant ships, glowing with energy. They did not fire, but they didn't stand down either. A transmission came through, a voice deep and ancient. Jason Vell, human of Earth, bearer of the bond, approach the spire of truth. Jason looked at Rayla. That's not a threat, he said. That's an invitation. She nodded once. It means they're curious. The spire of truth stood tall above silver mountains, a tower made of living crystal, humming with memory. Jason and Rayla entered together, side by side, inside. They faced the Valari High Council, 8 beings in robes of star silk, their faces unreadable, eyes glowing faintly. One of them stepped forward. You carry the echo, he said to Jason. But you also carry danger. Jason didn't flinch. You taught Rayla to trust instinct. He said, she trusted me. Another council member spoke. You fought your own kind. I fought lies. Jason replied, not humans. The eldest among them rose slowly. Her voice cracked with time. You have brought us data. She said, truth stolen from your own leaders. Jason stepped forward and held out the drive. It's not stolen, he said. It's returned. He placed the chip into the spire's core. Lights flickered. The walls shimmered. Footage played. ancient files of human Villari cooperation, forgotten missions, erased truths. And one last file, Project Unity, abandoned treaty draft, a proposal made decades ago, hidden away by Earth's military. The room went silent again, until the elder looked at Jason, her eyes softer now. "You risked everything," she said. "For what?" Jason met her gaze. "For truth," he said. "For connection. For her." He turned slightly, looking at Ryla. She didn't smile, but her eyes shimmered. The elder sat back. Then she asked, "Now what do you get?" Jason didn't answer. Right away, he took a deep breath, then looked at every face in the room. "I get to be something better than what I was," he said. "I get to help fix what both our people broke. I get to choose loyalty, not by blood. Not by orders, but by bond." The spire pulsed once. The council remained quiet, then one by one. They bowed their heads. Hours later, as the stars moved overhead, Jason and Ryla stood outside the spire. The wind was soft. The world below alive. "With light." So Ryla said, "You've changed everything." Jason laughed quietly. "Funny thing is," he said, "I thought I'd be punished for feeling too much." Ryla turned toward him. "And now?" He looked at her, smiling gently. "Now," he said, "I feel free." She stepped closer, tail flicking behind her, eyes glowing like they did in the gym that first day. She whispered the same words, but this time, not teasing, not testing. "Just knowing I win," she said softly. "Now what do I get?" Jason stepped closer, placed his forehead gently against hers. "You get me," he said. "All of me."